Okay, so we are recording, and we're in lesson 2, and we're talking about user interface design. And as I just said to everybody, we're going to be starting to talk about assignment number 1. So here's assignment number 1. It's we call it Sharp Mail Order. It used to be called VB Mail Order before we converted the course over. It is due September 26th. I better not step too close to there because you're going to lose my voice. 2013 at midnight, like all the assignments are due. If you decide to do it early, that's okay. I'm going to give you access to the assignments early if you want to finish them off, so you're not going to be rushing to get your assignments done all together all at the same time in every course, because they're all kind of due at very similar times, right? So yes, if you want to do it, that's fine. It's worth 15% of your final mark, right? So out of 100, this is worth 15. However, it is separated, like I said to you, in 15 slices or 25 slices, 25 marks, and they are divided line by line as to where you're going to get your marks from. Okay, so company has instituted a bonus program to give its employee an incentive to sell more for every dollar the store makes. In a 4-week period, the employees receive 2% of sales. So there's some calculation to be done for this assignment. Calculations, all right, which means you have to know a little bit about variables. We're going to talk about that today a little bit. You need to know about how to calculate stuff. You need to know how to display things on your forms, right? Because calculation, when you do some calculation and when you display them on the form, and just ask you before we even do it, for those of you who've done it, what is the challenge about taking a value, a calculated value, and displaying it on the form? Yes.
The text boxes are all strings.
They're all strings. The text, you're right, man. The text boxes are all strings, just like they are in JavaScript, just like they are in Java, just like they are in C++. They're the same in every language. They're all, usually when you do a text box or a control, chances are you're dealing with a string that you have to output, and so you've got to cast or change the value somehow from an int to a string, or decimal or a float or whatever it's going to be to a string. Okay, so that's just one of the challenges you're going to have, which in this class you guys look like there's no challenge, which is good. I'm happy. You got to work at the percentage of hours and blah blah blah. Okay, let's talk about the actual assignment. Your Windows form application will include the following components: 8 marks, functionality; 7 marks, GUI, right? So again, functionality, GUI. I have a rubric that I've actually put up on Blackboard. So when I do your marking, you're going to see a rubric, and you're going to have a breakdown of where you get your marks from, okay? I'll try and put a little bit of comments in there so you know what I'm expecting if you miss something. Add text fields, so an employee name, employee ID, and so total work hours, and so on. For the store's total monthly sales, I've kind of bolded everything that you need, and there's 2 marks, GUI. So basically, if you add these text labels, take a look. Employee name, half a mark. Employee ID, half a mark. Total hours worked, half a mark. Total monthly sales, half a mark, for a total of 2 marks. God, it's rocket science here. That's how I do my marking, guys. So every little thing I'm asking you to do, that's why I'm kind of zeroing in here. I'm using the lens. I'm kind of focusing on this assignment number 1, so you guys understand what I'm asking, and there's no, hey, what is he asking? How did he get his marks? And all that kind of stuff. The value for the total hour work field cannot exceed 160, and they give you some. I've asked you for some requirements. I'm not going to go and read every little line. It's just not necessary for you guys. There's different group boxes, things that you have to add in, and then I also say, look, when the user selects the Française radio button, the text property of every label and button on the form will change to reflect their French counterpart. That's fine. Huh? What was that? You didn't like the French? Okay. I hear you, but we got to translate it because we're in Canada. Anyways, bilingualism is key, yeah. And you know what? There's a lot of jobs, as an aside. There's a lot of jobs for people who are bilingual in this country. Anyway, so there's this place, freetranslation.com, if you want to do it there. That was an old link. You can also use Google Translate, which is way better. Add a picture box to the form. And by the way, if you're French, if I ask you to do translation, this is a poor man's way of doing translation, okay? The right way to do translation is for you to have set up a structure, a class, if you will, for all of your strings, and a separate file where you keep your, the same string, if you will, and you're going to swap out depending on the type of language requirements. This hard coding it into your code, bad. Okay, it's not a good practice. I wouldn't recommend it, but we are on the basic level. All right. So, like I said, in other languages, if you're programming for iPhone, if you're programming for iOS, I recommend to you that you do not hard code your language inside your code, but rather have strings files or string variables that exist that you swap in and out depending on the type of language that you need. Okay, so please, when you do your planning, it's the better way to do it. Again, it's just an aside. I'm not going to mark you bad if it's my bad that I kind of said didn't put it in a string. It's not your bad that if you hard coded it and you made the thing work, I'm good. Okay, at this stage. Add a picture box to the form and so on. Add a calculate button. And you know, the truth is, the way VB and C# and all the .NET form applications work really, the buttons is what really, and the form elements really drive the functionality. Yes, there's other ways of doing things at runtime when a form loads and so on. The form load event, you can drive some functionality as well with different kinds of events that happen in the background. But really, when you do we click a calculate button or a next button or a print button or something, that's the stuff that drives the functionality. So this is where the majority of the marks are going to start, around the calculate button, the next button, and the print button, all that kind of stuff. And as we go on to more complex applications, those buttons are going to drive. You're going to see they're going to be heavily weighted, those areas for functionality. The program does not need to remember data for previously entered deploys, which means you don't have to link it to a database or anything like that. If you link it to a database, bonus marks for you. Okay. How many bonus marks do I give? Like I said before in the first class, usually up to 10% of the total value of the assignment, right? So here it's worth 15%. You're going to be able to get 1.5% total marks for your across the board. Why do I do this? Why do I give 10%? You know, because people need it, right? Yeah.
Another question. Do you give half 100%?
I do, but Blackboard won't. So if you guys, at the end of the day, if you guys go over 100% for your course, and many people in my classes at times have gone over 100%, I'll give you over 100% on Blackboard, but on Banner, where I enter your marks, it goes 100. And so you'll see 100 come in. But you know what? It doesn't matter about the marks here, guys. It matters about what you learn here. Of course, having 100% is really cool, and having over, it's going to drive your GP, your grade point average. But I think that there's opportunities in every assignment for you guys to get bonus marks. And some people, unfortunately, the way it works with it is, and I'm hoping this cohort is different. You group of people that seem to be very on the ball. Usually is the people who don't need the marks are the people who get the marks, right? Because they're the people, the go-getters, they get all the 100%, and the people who don't need it don't even try for the bonus. Yeah.
Totally unrelated, but
yeah.
Related. What is the name of that toolbar that you pulled up in Visual Studio that gives you all the buttons and everything? I can't seem to find it.
All the buttons.
Oh,
the toolbox.
Right on the left. Right on the left.
I will show you such things, my son. Right? Don't worry. Do not worry. The question was, for those of you who are watching the video and hearing the noise, where do you find the toolbar? And we're gonna talk about that later on. So let's stick to the assignment number 1. Let's go back. Focusing back to assignment number 1. So again, internal documentation-wise, what am I asking for? 5 easy marks, a comment header for all your C# files. So if you have multiple C# files, which hopefully you will, going forward, I want you to have the app name, your author's name, your app creation date, your app description. Holy cow, that's like 4 things. Wait, 2 marks, half a mark for each, and so on. Right, and this is where I derive all your marks. You know, it's not rocket science, guys. Okay, moving on. External documentation is what I'm going to focus on just a little bit more. It is 5 easy marks again, but the great thing about your external docs is this really identifies who you are to me. Right? We're going to probably see each other, maybe not this semester again, but next semester. I'm going to develop an understanding of your baseline, where you stand, and you know what? You can reuse your logo here in this class, in the class you have with advanced programming. It's almost like your brand. If you were going to brand yourself with a tattoo, this is you. All right? So it's up to you how you want to do it. It's only half a mark, but it kind of makes it a little bit, personalizes your submission experience. Okay, and then you have your table of contents, very brief, where everything is. Please include a table of contents. Some people, for half a mark say, who cares? I don't need to have a table of contents, but it kind of makes it easier for me to find stuff too sometimes, and it makes it a more professional document. A brief description of your app. What do I mean by that? How many lines? I didn't specify there. Could I specify I need you to write, a paragraph? You know, that's what I really mean. You know, like a paragraph of what your app's about. You can get as complex as you want here. And by the way, when I give bonus marks, I don't just give them for functionality and GUI. I also give them for external documentation, internal documentation. I give it for all aspects of your submission because, you know, it's excellent for you to focus on excellence. I know it's kind of weird, but it really is. If you focus on being excellent in all aspects, I'll give you bonus marks for each one. I don't mind. A wireframe section. People say, well, Tom, I don't know how to do wireframes. I'm not an artist. How do we do them? I know you kind of showed us a couple tools. So now I'm going to digress into the wireframe demonstration here that I'm going to go to. So please, if you have access to a browser, and you should, that's in front of you, let's go there together, right? Here on my my Google Chrome here, I've got set up a bunch of these folders that I use not just for development, but for web development, for coding, for everything. If I've kind of set up a bunch of these you know, little tools that I have for wireframing. A couple of the really cool ones that I find that are free and open source that you can sign up to is this. One of them is here's Mockups.com. Now, I've already signed in, so you can see that I have my toolbar already here. It's a HTML5 based you know, generator of wireframes. That's one of them. And again, it's simply a drag and drop interface. If I take my rectangle and I drop it in here, I can draw my rectangle the way I want. As actually you can see, it's all web-based, right? It's right in my browser. I can click on the buttons. You know, I can add in my forms and so on, and it's all built in for you. Hello. Okay? So there's not really, you know, you don't have to draw anything, guys. Just drag and drop, okay? You don't like mockups and you want to try something else, so it's mockups.com with a Q, M-O-Q-U-P-S, huh? Not for me. I signed up. There's a free subscription you can go to. If you look down there, there's a basic free subscription. And I didn't pay a dime, right? So check further, look carefully. There is no subscription, right? Mockups.com. All right, that's one of them. See how it says Go Premium here on mine? Take a look up here. I see a Go Premium because I'm not paying premium. I'm paying nothing, right? Not that these guys aren't great. I don't think that there's. If you look down further on your imockups.com, when you sign up, on the bottom it says, you know, basic, right? Which is what I have, right? So. And I'm not saying that you know, you shouldn't pay anything. If you really like a service, I think there's really cool advantages to Go Premium, and there's some other things that Mockups gives you for free, and some really good stuff that you get if you're a premium member. Okay, I don't support. I'm not, you know, I'm not advertising for them. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I think it's a cool HTML5 app that you can download or that you can use. Other ones, okay. Let's go to the next one, which is another really good one, very similar. It's called mockflow.com. If you go to mockflow, M-O-C-K, flow.com, you can create a almost like an app, if you will. And here I've it's another HTML5 type of application. And again, it's a drag and drop situation where I can drag and drop images. Here's my rectangle. Sorry, I kind of made it the other way around. And, you know, you can layer them, you can move them up and down and so on. It's all web HTML5. Both are really kind of cool. They give you different advantages. The drag and drop interface, and then both are exportable. You can export or screen capture, if they're not exportable for the free version, out into something like a Fireworks or out into something like a, you know, other applications like GIMP, Paint, Photoshop, whatever. And then from there, you can include it in your documentation. So really fast and dirty. I think it's worth your time taking a look at these two applications, and they're free. Okay. If you want to do some stuff that's paid or some things that have a trial, there are other applications that are up on the web. For example, another popular one that's available cross-platform is Sketcher, which is Wireframe Sketcher Studio, right? Again, very similar situation. It is based off of the Eclipse framework, right? So if I was to use, you know, create a new screen or storyboard as an example, here it is. And let's just call this Advanced Web, if I can actually type standing up, and without a caps. Web. And of course, they need this to be the parent folder. Sure. Let's try that again. Add or select, enter or select the parent folder. So sure, I'll say advanced web. And it says, oh, create at least one project first. And then I'm going to have to go back because I don't have a project. So I go file, new project. And then it asks me what type of project name, and I'll say advanced web. Here it is. Finished. And then from there, I can add in a new storyboard. And there we go, finished. And then from there, again, you can add a screen. We'll call this home. Whatever. If not, we'll just go like this. Press. It says select an item to open on the screen. It is really actually easy, believe it or not, but I'm floundering here. But the idea with here is that it's another drag and drop experience. Okay, so fool around with it. I obviously don't use this thing as much, but I want to show it to you as another free opportunity. It's a trial run, last 30 days. You can pay for it. It's not a very bad experience as well. But the one I like the most, and which is a standard one, and I would recommend if you have a Mac or PC, I believe, that is a good opportunity for you if you want to download something and pay for it, which I'm a big proponent of. If you have it, you like it, and you try it, however you get it, pay for it at the end, right? That's the way I look at it. If you really like it, pay for it. I like Balsamiq, right? So if you want to go to a really cool app, it's built in, and where did I put it? Here it is. Balsamiq is a paid-for app, but the great thing is it's becoming more and more industry standard for web graphics and app development, right? And the great thing about this is it's got a nice little toolbar up here. Again, this is the Mac version. So if I go to all, you see it has filtered out all the controls that you can drag and drop. No. So here I'm dragging and dropping a browser window, right? You can actually name the browser window and do the same kind of stuff you do on the free stuff, but there's a lot more control. You can change the way the graphics look. As an example, Balsamiq definitely has a lot more control, and you can create not just a wireframe, but also a prototype that works. All right, so I don't know if you guys know the difference between wireframing and prototyping, but really, a wireframe, you get your wireframes, you can label things and stuff, and then as you move towards the next stage of development, prototyping allows you to create almost like a working click-through with as much graphics and everything else as you want. You can use this as a basis to create a little presentation for your client, and again, it's a good app. I recommend it. Okay, anyone else? Any questions around wireframing? Okay, because I've covered a couple free ones and a couple ones.
The one that I found that it was really, really good for free was pencil wireframing. It's available for Mac, Linux, and Windows open source.
Let's go there. So we have a student, because you might not be able to be heard on these things. So it's called Pencil. What is it? What's the address? It's called Pencil Wireframing?
Yeah, if you just Google Pencil Wireframe, it's penciled by a company by Apple, so it's just Pencil Project.
That's it?
Yeah.
And it's a free sign-up, or it's a free download, so it's an actual native app. It's a native app you have to download. Okay.
Yeah, and it has, you can insert windows, you can do quick sketchy style. You can do, it's showing there, you can actually put in an Android tablet frame or Mac tablet frame.
Great.
Just to kind of showcase whatever you want.
And you know what? There are tons of apps out there that allow you to do quick wireframing and stuff. And remember, we're talking about the planning stages of your app. Although we're doing C# or and again we talked about the level of complexity in this course is kind of middle. I'm trying to be nice. At the end of the day, the same kind of stuff that you do here can carry forward into any other course that you're doing or anything that you're doing, any project. And I think when you go into co-op, if you're doing co-op or if you're going to go into the real world one day or be an entrepreneur and do it on your own, there's nothing wrong with having best practices in place and good, I believe, open source tools is the way to go. There are some tools, I have to be honest though, that are native, that are really good, and they're paid for, but they're paid for a reason. They got good support, and they're very robust. So I'm going to talk about those too as we go. Okay. So let's go back to the assignment. So you've got your wireframe. Now we know what the difference between wireframe is, and some people, I mean, I focus a little bit more this year when I talk about wireframing. Some in the past, people don't really understand what that is. I also said appropriate arrows and labels for the app's forms. When I say wireframing, what I mean is I want you, if you have multiple forms for your app for this particular assignment, I expect a wireframe sketch, if you will, whether it's on paper. If you want to really do it on paper, you don't want to use any app, you don't want to download anything, and you're the kind of person that works with a napkin, and you want to take a picture of the napkin and put it in your submission, I'm good with that. I really am, because still, although we're in 2013 and people are working with advanced tools, there's still people, and I know lots of people that I work with, colleagues, that sketch everything on a napkin, right, or on a white piece of paper. Yeah.
You're also okay with like a digital drawing of it though? Like
Yes.
Photoshop or something like
Yes.
that?
Yeah, actually, that's Photoshop would be another level. It's okay with that. You don't have to, use these tools. You can also import these tools into Photoshop and add things to them, like let's say pictures and layers and all this stuff. It's up to you. I'm giving you some free stuff, some other opportunities to produce your wireframes and do your planning for your assignments, so that it makes it easy for you. Okay, a code planning section, right? Well, what does this mean? Again, what I'm looking for is talk about your objects and properties. And if you look at a great guide to this, the minimum that I would look for is put it in a bloody chart, right? I mean, worst case scenario, right? Look at your hands-on assignments. And in the hands-on assignments, I have a wireframe sketch. Every hands-on assignment will have that. Then you're going to have your objects and properties graphs, or whatever, table, if you will. And in there, you're going to have the object and what it does. And then a lot of it is just you writing about what this object is supposed to do, right? It's almost like an outline of your functionality, okay, before you've actually coded anything. So this is all part of your planning, right? And then I said a multimedia section, and I'm focusing on the external document for a reason, guys, so bear with me. A multimedia section of your screen capture, right? Include your screen capture, your final forms. There's nothing wrong with also creating, even though I'm not asking for it, a separate click-through document, an external document, if you want to go there, because many managers ask for this these days, in PDF that is perfectly functional, where you can click through from one page to the next, and it takes you from one image of your form to the next image with all the changes, to give the feel for the user, without even having an app open or whatever, how your app functions. You can do that, right? I mean, it's very simple to create that. You can do that with Fireworks. You can do that with these programs here that I've showed you. Almost like an extra section where you're showing some functionality. It's okay. Do I ask for it? Am I specifically saying I need you to create a click-through? No, but it's a great opportunity for you to practice that kind of stuff. But the very minimum I am asking for is screen capture and a thumbnail library of any external images that you, or anything else, assets, sounds, and all that kind of stuff that you're using in your app. Okay? And then, of course, on the bottom, I've got an example of an ugly form, right, that was made for this thing, right? This is the bare minimum. This is one interpretation. Please don't use this as this is what I want, right? And when I give you assignments, I want you to be creative, all right? Remember, if you're doing Jarrett's class on project management, right, unless you're given specific details, you are the architect, right? I've asked you for some requirements. The client hasn't told you specifically what he's looking for. You're doing the wireframe. Imagine if you're producing these wireframes, you've got approval for the wireframes, and what your app, the app you're producing has been approved, and it's your design. Okay? It doesn't have to be this. I'm just giving you an example of what works. This is okay, right? This is ugly, too, bare minimum. Okay. And then there's your rubric for where your marks lie, right? So I've kind of gone over it. I'm going over it a second time. I know it's up on the web for you guys to see this as well. I don't want to focus too much more on assignment number 1, but every other assignment is going to be formatted this way, and I'm doing it a second time for you today. I did it last week a little bit too, because I want you to stick with a specific standard. Take these things seriously. It's worth 15% of your mark. Don't wait till the last minute. Practice, 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 and try your best. This is an opportunity for you guys to take something away, even though, regardless of how easy the course seems, there's always little snippets and things that you're going to take for every course to improve you as a coder, all right, and as a web developer, and as a software developer, and as a person in general. Okay. let's just move away from this, and we'll move away from this, and back to this. Okay. Any questions surrounding assignment number 1? At this stage, I'm going to pause